But we are now coming to, in some ways, the best part.
The best part.
This is the best part, and Josh gets to do the best part because he's so good at this, which is all the exciting innovation, or much of the exciting innovation going on, some of the new products that are launching, some of the new announcements. So I'm going to turn the show over to Josh. Please all stick around. Also, we'll get shirts after this, which is kind of cool. Anyway, I'll stop talking.
Yeah, so now we've got 9 startups that we're going to give demos for you. We're going to blaze through these and keep it moving fast. They each get 5 minutes to show you what they've been working on. We'll do a brief, probably one or two questions as they're transitioning between each presentation. At the end of this, everyone definitely hangs around. We'll have drinks. We'll have T-shirts to hang out, and that's obviously a chance to follow up with everyone that you've seen here tonight. So we got, like I said, 9 startups. We're going to go in alphabetical order. And the first one up is FastMail. FastMail has been around for 15 years. They're not quite a startup themselves, you might say, but they've got a really interesting product to demo that I've seen and is really cool, and I think will really be very interesting after the talk today about building the future of email and building on IMAP and things like that. So let me hand it over.
Hi, everybody. I'm Neil, and I work on FastMail. What we do is email hosting really, really well. In case you haven't checked it out before, I'm going to start with a quick demo of our web interface. So if I shift over here to our homepage and just log into an account, and you can see it just loads really, really fast. That was loading all the data to display your whole inbox here and all the folder counts and everything else. So there are only a couple of round trips to make that happen. And I can just open a message, flick through the email acid test, yeah. Look at dinner. Oh, that's a nice photo, cool. And everything just loads really snappily. It's pretty fast. Now, my colleague is going to send me a message, and instantly it's pushed to the top of my mailbox. If I'm out and about, I might actually read that on my phone, or even these days on my watch, and then maybe I'll just say I've dealt with that. I'm going to archive that or delete that, and it just disappears as well from every other view. It's all synced up pretty instantly. Thank you, Bron.
Pretty fast.
And if I flip over to a different account here, here's a mailbox with 22,391 messages in it. If I can find the scroll bar. What's happened to the scroll bar? OK. I can just jump to pretty much any bit of that. And unfortunately, I wanted to jump to a bit. Oh, yeah, there was a scroll bar. It's just not visible. And it just loads instantly. Where I'm at now, 6,569. It's like I have the whole mailbox loaded. I could just keep doing this all day, but I haven't got time. So I'm going to flip that. So there's a lot of other cool stuff in here that I haven't got time to show you right now, but you should definitely sign up for a free trial later to check it out and have a play.
We might make it shorter.
Yeah, we need to make our free trial shorter. It's 60 days. But today I actually want to introduce something a little more behind the scenes. Anyone who's tried to build a mail client knows how painful IMAP is to work with. And worse for our users, it's slow and it's inefficient, taking many round trips and using way more data than it really needs to just to load a simple mailbox view. This is especially bad, obviously, on mobile. So we think it's time for a new standard, an API designed for really efficient use of slow, high-latency mobile networks. An API that we know from our experience is easy to use to build a really performant and full-featured mail client. And an open standard rather than a proliferation of proprietary single-vendor APIs like we were hearing about earlier today. We think it's important. At the moment, everyone is using IMAP as the interoperable protocol, and that's just too low a baseline. We still want you to be able to innovate and add new stuff for your own service, and obviously we have things that we're interested in developing, but the baseline that you should be able to use for every email service needs to be way higher than it is today. So obviously we've written just such an API, and we're calling it JMAP. And I'm just going to tell you a little bit about that quickly. JMAP is a stateless JSON-based protocol that runs over HTTPS, although it's actually transport agnostic to extent, and we're looking at maybe standardizing over WebSockets as well at a later point. Could be quite interesting. It's very mobile friendly. You've got push notifications happening out of band. Actually, I'll talk about this in a second. Obviously, this is based on the API that I was using just now for our web interface, which is part of what makes that so fast. It's very mobile friendly in that push notifications happen out of band and can go via the native push service. updates are really efficient. Normally, one round trip to the server is enough to get the data it needs to update from whatever state it currently is in to the current state on the server, and it's a minimal amount of data. And also, it can batch operations so that you're not doing lots of round trips. Even I can archive a message and get the update to the mailbox that causes in a single round trip. Yeah, I know. It's really support-friendly because auto-discovery means you can just put an email address and password and no need for setting up different protocols. And lastly, we're building a clear upgrade path. We're going to build a JMAP proxy to make it easy to work with existing IMAP servers. And there's a spec, which is there now, open source. We're going to build a reference implementation and test suite. We're hoping that we can drive adoption and get this into native mail servers over time and eventually replace IMAP with a much better baseline protocol. So go check it out at jmap.io. That's where the spec and other stuff lives, and come find us and talk to us after this. Thank you.
Awesome. That's great. Could Front come on up? And Iterable, if you could also get on deck. We have time for maybe one question about this in between. Any questions? Anybody interested in using this? Yeah, I think it's really cool. It's pretty cool. It's really fast and much easier to program. IMAP's really a bitch to program too. So I'm really excited about that too. Next up, we have Front. And like I said, Iterable, if you guys wouldn't mind just standing up on deck up here so you're ready, that'd be great. You're going to plug in over there.
This one.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm the CEO and the co-founder of Front, that you can picture as a multiplayer version of Gmail. So, you all know that email was made for one-to-one communication, and most of the time, and especially at work, we do one-to-many or many-to-one communication, but the workflow for our email hasn't changed. Well, it was before we started to work on Front, because Front is the email workflow reimagined for Teams. So we launched this product 3 months ago, and now we already have 200 paying companies. And during the last months, we've been working on a whole new version that we are showing today for the first time. So here it is. The way it works is here you have your shared inboxes. So it can either be like a shared inbox or an individual inbox that you would add with a Google Connect, for example. Then you have your emails here that you can delete, that you can archive, you can compose email, you can snooze conversation, nothing new. But what's new is your team is on the app too. And you can define who in your team has access to what inbox. And then whenever you get a new email, instead of forwarding, replying, or CCing, BCCing, you have more efficient features. So you can assign an email to someone in your team. You can comment emails. So if I comment an email, it's an internal note. And I'll be able, if I want, to mention someone in my team. Everything is in real time. So if one of my teammates is commenting, I'll be able to see that he's commenting. If he is replying, I'll be able to see that he is replying. And all this new workflow can be done either manually, so I assign emails to different people, or automatically thanks to automated roles. Then, whenever I get a new email on an individual inbox here, and I want to share it with my team, I will just drag and drop the email to the right inbox and then be able to use the collaborative features I've just showed. So we try to make email less siloed than it was before. Every feature that you normally find in email, you can find it here, but it's made for Teams. So for example, drafts. If you want to share a draft because you want a teammate to review an email before you send it, you'll just click on share. and then you'll be able to share it, and this person will be able, you will be able to comment it and then add for a feedback. And because your whole team is on the app, there are a lot of things that you can do out of it. So for example, you can get data on your activity. So it's a whole new version, I don't have any data. But you can get data on the number of email you receive, the performance of every teammate, on every tag to know what the trending topics are. And because your whole team is on board, there are lots of things that you can do to create more collaboration. So for example, you go on holidays, and you will just set your status as unavailable, and then whenever you get a new email, it will be made unassigned by default so that someone can take care of it. Or something else that you can do, you can create predefined answers if you have like frequent questions, and then share it with the right person in your team. So as a consequence of that, you can use email for lots of things, like to manage sales lead, to manage your customer support, to manage your hiring, and you don't have to fragment the communication within your company. And we think people are more involved when they have access to emails, but without being notified with push notification all the time. And then as your company scale, you'll have a CRM, a bug tracking tool, a project management tool, and we integrate with them thanks to our API. So as I told you, it's the first time we show this version. So if you have any feedback, we'd be super happy to hear. Or you can send us an email to team@frontapp.com, and you know how it will be managed on our side. Thank you.
Awesome. That's Front App. Frontapp.com. Thanks for coming in and demoing that. Any questions for Front App?
I had a quick question about your marketing tactics. So you said that you have 200 paying customers in the first 3 months. What are the how did you get those customers? What were some of the tactics that you used?
Our acquisition, how do we
How did you
acquire?
get the 200 customers that you have?
So, in fact, it turns out that people are really interested about email, and so our main acquisition strategy so far has been content marketing, and we've written a lot about the future of email, publicity by default, transparency, etc. Like email will last forever, and we get tens of thousands of reads every time, and that leads to signups, and then some of them convert, and now we have 200 companies. And these companies, they have between like 2 users to 200 users on the app.
Great. Awesome. Well, thanks so much. Everyone will be around after if there's more questions too, so thank you. Next up, we have Iterable. And whenever you're ready, take it away.
Hey guys, so this demo is meant targeted for the marketers and the engineers who don't want to deal with the marketers. So yeah, we're Iterable, and what we do is essentially marketing automation plus growth hacking. And what is growth hacking? That is basically taking the data you know about your users and really personalizing the experience and learning from that. So my background, I used to work at Twitter on user growth as an engineer. And we had massive amounts of data about the user across not only emails, but also on your website, on mobile, about when you engage, when you open, what things you click on, you know, what things you're favoriting. So all this data we took, and we were able to create personalized campaigns on, you know, what is the right channel for you? What is the right message? What is the right time of day? And the system we built was very effective for getting more active users. But it was very difficult to do, and marketing basically had no input into it. If they wanted to change a template, it was this deep Ruby template that you had to upload and to deploy. So we wanted, we were thinking, these are some things that the marketers should be able to empower to do, and that's why we built Iterable. So we're a team of ex-Twitter engineers, and thinking about growth, right? There's a couple key stages. There's the acquisition, paying for the ads. It could be organic. Once they're on your site, activating them so that they know how to use your product, right? Teaching them about that, and then making sure they come back. And ultimately, if it's a e-commerce site, a B2C site, you want to get that revenue. So I'm going to showcase one of our key features that we're demoing for the first time here is the workflow system. And we'll go through each of these scenarios. So our workflow is a way to create trigger campaigns very, very easily. It's a drag and drop editor here. So the first thing you start with is a trigger. And the triggers could be directly through our API. We have integrations with segment.io that can send us events. We also have a JavaScript snippet. If you're on an e-commerce platform like Magento, you can simply install our extension and we'll get a bunch of events. So a very simple campaign would be the welcome series, right? So you trigger when a user subscribes to list, your potential clients list, for instance, and then you just take them through a list of actions. So you might send them a welcome email right away. So we'll do a welcome email right away, send email. You can pick your template, whatever it may be. And then you might want to wait some time after that to send your subsequent email, teaching them bits and pieces about the product over a couple days. So over here, we can do a delay. And you might have a certain hour or a certain time of day that you think work best. You can actually say, right. So let's late for lease, 12 hours until 8 a.m. Local time. We can do that as well. And you can continue with a series of emails. Finally, you can add them to a list of activated users if they activate or not, right? So that's an activation campaign. Now I'll go through a revenue campaign. So a very important must-have campaign for e-commerce is the abandoned cart campaign. So the triggers when a user adds the item to cart. Users added to cart, you want to give them some time, a little bit of delay, sort of to see if they finish purchasing or not. So we'll give them, say, 2 hours. And then at this point, you would actually want to check to see if their cart is empty or not. Here we have a filter that you can essentially use to query any amount of user data. So it replaces the need to do any kind of SQL queries. So you have access to your contact property, what emails they've been sent, what things they've opened, clicked on, any kind of purchases, any list activity. So in this case, we'll just say if the user shopping cart is set, which means it's not empty, is set. And then the next step here is to send your abandoned cart email. Send email, abandoned cart. So it's very powerful, very easy to do, and typically what we see our customers doing is multi-step abandoned cart. So you might wait, after the initial 2 hours, another 24 hours, and see if they purchase or not. If they don't, provide them with a 10% coupon, or maybe try other channels. So we're going to release a mobile SDK where you can also do push. So after an email, if that doesn't engage, do a push. If the push isn't working, try an ad on Facebook, on other channels. And lastly, the reactivation campaign. You can actually create dynamic lists, which basically you can use to say if a user haven't been to our site in 60 days, add them to this dynamic list. And with that list, you can also trigger it on. So you can say, when a user is part of this sort of disengaged users list as a trigger, you can take them through another series of engagement campaigns. Here's some new features about a product. Come by, check it out. Here's a discount for you to try out a new product, and etc. So that's our sort of workflow feature at a high level. We're an all-in-one platform for your messaging, so we support your blast campaigns you might do with MailChimp, your lifecycle, which I just showed, and your transactional, which you might do with SendGrid. So we have an API for all of that. Cool, that's Iterable, and if you're interested, we're at iterable.com, and shoot me an email. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. All right, we're gonna try to keep this moving fast. I don't want to keep everybody here too late. But next up, we've got MixMax. I got to tell you, I first heard about this, and I was very, very skeptical. I thought, hasn't this been done before? And isn't it really hard? And then I talked to Olaf, and I got the details, and he answered pretty much every one of my objections. I was really impressed. So, hit it off. Here you go.
Thank you. So, as you can see, we're really, really good at user interface design. I think that's what got Josh started. So who actually, before starting my demo, who knows what this is? It says, brilliant. It came up in conversation earlier, especially with Alan. So this is Pine. This is a mail client that's 25 years old this year. And it's really illustrative of the problem we're trying to tackle because it shows that literally nothing has changed substantively in the world in email in 25 years. It's super plain text. And contrast this with how the web has evolved in the past 20, 25 years. On the left here, you see the New York Times homepage 18 years ago, 1996. It was pretty good for its time. It had images and it had hyperlinks. I mean, email barely had that back then, right? And you compare that to the web of today, an example from New York Times, you have this incredibly interactive, rich experience, this time about poverty in America. So just contrast that development of the web versus where we are in email today, where literally email is where the web was in 1996. And that's fundamentally the problem we're solving. We're kind of bringing the power of the web to email, so you can do all these things and all these amazingly productive things that you can do on the web directly in your mail client without necessarily needing a plugin. So we'd like to say that MixMax is email with superpowers. So we have both a Gmail extension and an SDK that you can use and integrate in your own applications to send MixMax emails. And with these emails, your recipients can take action directly in the email. They can do things like answer a survey, complete a purchase, confirm an expense report, RSVP for events. Let me show you a couple of examples, first on the receiving side of what this looks like. Sorry, I'm just going to switch over to my phone. And the reason, of course, I'm showing on mobile is because, as we all know, over 90% of opens happen on mobile. So just to contextualize again, here's a classic email today. You know, you have a bunch of links. There's a LinkedIn there. There's some attachment in this email. I'm supposed to go somewhere on a Google map. I'm constantly just asked to leave my inbox and get distracted. The same email created in MixMax in our Gmail add-on just gives you all the information you need at your fingertips. So for the LinkedIn, we provide a beautiful preview of that LinkedIn profile with, you know, everything you need to know about the person you're about to see. In this context, it's for an upcoming sales meeting. For the attachment, we resolve it straight up in the email, and we enable you to actually flip through this attachment so you can get a glance of it straight up in your email without leaving your inbox. Again, attachments are kind of dead on mobile. And in terms of knowing where you're heading, you get that visual preview of your email straight up, straight away, so you know where you're going. I'm going to bombard you with some other nice examples here, kind of building upon the CSS support and email presentation earlier. Here's the spreadsheet that was just dragged as an attachment. We resolve it straight away, so even though it's wide, you can look at it in your email. If you want, you can actually sort it here. Turns out luxury cars are really not that great performing in EMEA, but sedans are really high performing in EMEA. Pretty awesome to be able to view a spreadsheet straight up in your email. I'm going to dive through a bunch of different examples of cool experiences you can create on top of the MixMax platform. And again, you can send these, create the email in MixMax and send it wherever, with whatever tool you want. Of course, we support video. If you drag in a SoundCloud link, we'll put the podcast there so you can listen to it. This is kind of my favorite little interactive widget. It's just a little nice flashcard. Boom, get that to work. If you want to, you can buy a little first aid kit straight up in your email. You can confirm a meeting time here just by clicking on it. It'll automatically send the invite. And then last, a little survey just straight up in the email. So with that, that's kind of what it looks like on the receiving end. And I just want to round this off in the remaining minute just to show you how easy it is to create these kind of interactive emails within your inbox. So let's see how I'll do this with the mic. Can everyone hear me without the mic, actually? Yeah. Great. Yeah. So let's do that. Get a nice full screen experience. So this is just my inbox. The MixMax add-on just upgrades your Gmail Compose window, so I can write a message here. Hey, you know, we're hiring, something like that. Let's actually make that really big so everyone can see that. And here's a good candidate. Boom. Let's get someone, because I found a really interesting LinkedIn profile. And I think that guy would be pretty compelling. So as you can see, we just resolved that link straight up. Now, say I want to schedule a meeting. I can just bring up our meeting scheduler, select a couple of quick times, put it in OK. When the recipient clicks on one of these links, it will automatically set up the meeting. If I want to, I can pull in any type of interactive experience here. And with our developer program, we abstract away all the hairy details to make this work cross-platforms for you, so you can build these types of experiences too. I'm just going to go in and do that survey that we saw earlier. which session did you prefer? And this one, CSS session or IMAP session, and boom, done, and you have a survey that works straight up in your email that you can send out. So that's MixMax, and yeah.
And you don't have to install anything on the client side to receive any of these.
Right, no install on the client side. The only thing is you need to use MixMax to obviously create these emails, but as you can see, it's done in a jiffy. So.
Awesome, very cool, thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have a startup that I've known for a long time. Been here since the first Inbox Love, and we're going to hear the latest from Movable Ink.
Everyone, I'm Vivek Sharma. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Movable Ink. And this is actually the first email conference I'd ever been to when we started the company. That was about 3 years ago. And it was a 4-person team. Today we're a 70-person company headquartered in New York. So there is proof positive that you can actually build a business on email successfully over time. And we work with large consumer brands to help them market in the moment. And we do this by changing email at the moment of open rather than when it is sent out. And today there's about 200 big Fortune 1000 brands we work with, including Airbnb, Macy's, eBay, for example. But today I want to talk about a tool that we built that doesn't have anything to do with personalizing email at the moment of open. It's actually solving a problem that marketers and designers seem to have, which is the production process. We had a panel earlier today talking about some of the difficulties around CSS, and that entire flow, I think Andrew talked about, he spends about 4 hours on every email template that he's building. And we looked at that and said, is this a problem we could help solve? And what I'm doing here is I'm uploading a couple of Photoshop files. So this is something a designer may work on. And I've got a couple of variants. I've got a desktop variant, and I've got a mobile variant. And we talk to a lot of companies, and they typically spend about 4 to 8 hours building each template. And marketers put out really crappy, janky emails because very few of their ideas can ever see the light of day because it's so costly to go build these emails. So what if we could radically reduce the cost of producing emails like this? So what you're seeing happening here is it's actually importing that Photoshop file, and the designer has laid some slice marks in it. That's being imported as well. And you've got a really nice tabular layout for that email. Now, I can jump in, add some of my own slice marks right in here. Just in case you don't have this already done inside the Photoshop file, I can drag this around. And something really cool here, if I hold down the Shift key, we even have edge detection set up right here. So you can start to lay vertical and horizontal lines and drop them right there. So automatic edge detection imported, set up right inside that Photoshop file. So this is my desktop version. What if I were to take a look at my mobile version? And this is also being converted into HTML tables. And this could be a Photoshop file, it could be a PNG, it could be a JPEG image, and I've got a very different looking layout, far more optimized for the mobile experience. And I've got the slices already in here, so I don't have to do anything like that. And at this point, I can go preview that email. And it looks great inside a desktop, very different experience, mildly different experience with this one inside a mobile device. So this is all done with media queries and responsive design. And the great thing about this is you don't have to go write that code. You're going straight from concept to code in minutes rather than the hours that it used to take you. Lastly, you could even check the compatibility of this with the various email clients out there. And this one looks perfect. There's no issue with the HTML that's been generated, and it shows you all the tests that it has passed. Perfect. Okay, so when I finish this, what's actually happening now is taking those Photoshop files, taking those slice marks, combining them into a fully responsive template, and just to show you, there's nothing up my sleeves. This is the HTML that was just generated over a few seconds. So all of the media queries are imported there for you. You've got the tabular layout. You're set up and ready to go. And you've got both the desktop version and a mobile version. So now that you've done this, everything that you've done up to this point, we are giving away for free. And we've got a website called InkBrush. So it's a free tool. It's going to be free forever. And it's meant for marketers, for designers who don't want to go through a painstaking process of building, hand-building HTML anymore for email. And you can go to this website, sign up, and it's as simple as uploading, defining that layout, customizing it, and you can export it to any ESP. This is the free stuff. The stuff that we pay the bills with is the ability to do really interesting things inside that email. And I'll show you one example of that. So take a look at this block inside this email. It's a Vegas promotion to try to get you to come there. And very often these types of emails, the content becomes stale the second they send it out. So the inventory is different. A hotel may have expired. So what if I could grab this content straight from my website? And that's exactly what we're going to do here. We have this tool called a web crop. And I just happen to have a web page right here.
We got to do this one really quick just because we're out of time.
Perfect. And basically, I can go highlight any section of that page, go save it right there, and from that second on, I've got live content in my email. And I can deploy this through any ESP. It's always live. It's always up to date. So that's the paid stuff. That's Agile Email in Movable Ink.
More web pages in email, part of the theme today.
Exactly.
Awesome. All right, thanks. Next up, we've got Alex with mxHero, and I'm going to actually have to hand off the demo to Jared for the rest of them. So we're running a little bit late, and I'm cutting it close to get back to my kids. So I'm actually running to a flight. So I apologize I can't do the last three, but this has been awesome. So thank you all for coming today. Yeah.
Thank you, Josh. Okay, from mxHero, Alex Panagidis, CEO and co-founder. What I'm going to show today is we're launching today the Retriever, and it's essentially a tool that will go back into your email and pull out photos. And I'm going to just show how that works. It's a free tool. It's actually the B2C front end of a B2B product that we have in production. And let's see how this works. It currently operates. So we're dedicated to the convergence of email with cloud storage and how cloud storage can be leveraged to solve a lot of the long-standing issues of email. And so this is a Retriever. Let's see if this works. Okay, so very simple, very straightforward. Just put in your email address. You'll be authenticating. Works with all major email services, anything IMAP accessible as well. And then you choose your cloud storage, which we support Box, Google Drive, Dropbox, and ShareFile. And we'll be adding Barracuda Copy pretty soon. Then you just hit retrieve, and there's the authentication from Dropbox. And then it just goes through the process. And I recorded it because it takes a little bit of time, a little bit of Google throttling. We'll make it longer than it needs to be, but there it goes. And this is just looking for your photos. A future version, in fact, it's already ready. We'll go after files and other things. Those are part of the components of the B2B product. And you get an email. You can close that window, by the way, so you don't have to leave it open. So an hour, 6,126 emails later, it's found 308 photos. Now it's in my Dropbox. We have a standard folder mailed to cloud Retriever. And the nice thing about Dropbox actually for photos is that you have the special, okay, so it'll list it as a file, but also you can look at it as photos. And that actually, Dropbox will pick up the date stamp off of the email and automatically build a chronological order. So you see, there's my Greek heritage. There's, okay, so these are photos, you know, over the last 5 or so many years that people have sent me. There's brother-in-law. And then there's the date, the timestamp. It works equally well. For example, this is a box view, the same thing. Photos. And of course, from these platforms, you can do everything that these platforms do for you. You can share, you can send, you can do all sorts of other things. And that's it. It's free and readily accessible at, let me get the address. So it supports all IMAP systems. And that's the address. And oh yeah, so just one word of advice. After you do the processing, you don't go and share very quickly those photos because some things should remain buried. So just take a quick look at what you have there before you start sharing. Some skeletons should stay in the closet, okay? All right, so thank you.
Thank you so much. And next we have Matthew Carlson from TouchMail. This is our first demo on a Surface Pro 3. Kind of cool. Microsoft, some folks had to leave to go back to Redmond, but glad to see more in the house. So we'll just see how it does with video. Perfect.
All right, great. So my name is Matthew Carlson. I'm co-founder and CEO of TouchMail. We're in town from Seattle. So TouchMail is visual email, and it's designed from the ground up to leverage the speed of touch. Because organizing, viewing, and deleting with touch is much faster than traditional methods. So we have a release coming out next week with some big features. I'm going to show you some of them today. So right away, you can see this is my inbox. It's laid out very differently than anything else that you've seen. It's multi-dimensional, and I can just even zoom in and read previews. It's great, like in multitasking, or when you should be paying attention to something else. And so I can open a message, and while I'm even in a message, I can see things and just push up and delete. So it's really easy to keep my inbox clean. So I'll just delete that one. And then, I can also zoom out a little bit more. And I really like this. Kind of gives me a good sense of my day and the emails that I have. And so you see, I don't really have a lot of emails because I'm actually really good at cleaning them up with TouchMail. So I'm going to show you a little bit about how we do that. So let's say I zoom out once more here. And I just pivot this, and I sort it by sender. So here I can see where, who I'm getting the most email from. And you notice that some of the messages are color-coded. And so in our new release, the user can customize this based on how they work, and sort of it's flexible to how they process information. So email from people on my team is in blue. And let's say that I want to make email from my wife red. So it's really easy to spot important things and not miss things. Now getting back to the cleanup. So let's say I'm looking at it in this view. I can use these filter buttons right over here, and let's say I just want to see things that are old, so like things from last month, because chances are, I don't need them anymore. So I could come in here and I could say anything from some of these people. Let's just clean them up. So I can find who I get the most email from pretty quickly, and do a lot of bulk cleanup this way. So I can just go ahead and delete them or archive them. And one of the huge benefits of this is that when you clean your email anywhere, it's clean everywhere. And what I mean is, then later when you're on your phone or on a different email app, there's less clutter, and so you'll be able to find things a lot faster. So let's say I want to just see email from a few key people. So like my wife, a few people on my team. I can use this VIP filter and just get down to the messages that I really care about the most. So we enable you to really slice and dice email in a way that fits the task at hand, like if you're in a meeting or you have a certain task that you need to complete. And so let's go back to my time view here. Or another thing is if I just want to see things that are very recent and cut out the clutter, I can also do that where I'm only seeing things basically from the last week. So I'm a very people-oriented person, so seeing this way helps me think about the people I need to talk to and the work that I need to do. So this is TouchMail, and so we have a big release coming out next week. I've been looking around here, and even though we talk a lot about open rates on mobile, the fact is we still do a lot of email on computers, and actually over 90% of the time that we spend doing email is on a keyboard and large monitor device of some sort or another. So that's why we started on Windows 8 and are also working with Microsoft on optimizing TouchMail for Windows 10 early next year. So this is great to be here, and we hope to talk to you more soon. So thank you.
Thank you so much to Matthew. Okay. Next, we'd like to welcome also one of our table sponsors. Some of you guys might have gotten a chance to see their work outside, but we have Virtru to show the latest of their work. So we're excited to have you guys. What's that? Need some help? Oh, we got flipped. Well, sorry, I wasn't communicated.
We're actually doing it in alphabetical order.
Oh, well, I guess it was in the wrong alphabetical order on the website. My apologies. Vade Retro.
Yes.
Excited to have you here. So I do love my email, so thank you.
So hi everyone. So my name is Adrian. Firstly, I know that my English is not very good, so if you don't understand what I say, just do a strange face and I can say it again. So in this world, there is a lot of apps or software or features, solutions to handle and take care of the email filtering, auto-classification, and unsubscription process. But as we see, there is still a pain, and in fact, there is 3 pains, and there is no apps which handle these 3 pains together in one app. So the first is that some users want to use the native apps that we have, like Mail in iOS, like Mail in Mac OS X or Outlook or whatever. And so we see a lot of great apps, but some users want to keep the app that they have in order to have a fully integrated experience with the operating system that they are using. Secondly, some users have email addresses in small providers, and so they don't have host authentication. And there is many apps that they cover only host authentication. And the last one, maybe the more innovative in our solution, this is that we see a lot of unsubscription process in application, which is very great. But we see that most of them are focused on some compatible senders only, or the user can't subscribe again after, so they have to handle a blacklist, manage this, and think that they unsubscribed before, so if they want to subscribe again, they have to remove the address from a blacklist. So we think that the user wants to be able to unsubscribe from all newsletters, all marketing campaigns, without any concern if they did it before or not, to be able to subscribe again if they want. So in Vade Retro, thanks to our experience, because we protect more than 150 million of mailboxes all around the world, we provide API and solutions. So we created Love Your Emails in order to provide this experience in one application. And our business model is just, we don't have business model on it. It will be free, it's free, it will be free, and this forever. Because for us, it's important to get more data from users, especially in geographic areas that we don't cover with our filter. And also because it's like a showroom that we can show to our prospect to sell our API or solution to internet service providers or hosters. So let's see the app. I think it's not moving. demo effect. Yeah, I'm sorry. So I think I can do a demo. Maybe we can use a camera or something like this, because I can't use AirPlay.
She's already gone with the camera.
Aye.
Is it an iPhone? But the
Yes.
person who had the iPhone adapter is also gone. Sorry about that.
It's me.
Next time.
Yeah, next time. I don't know what to do. I'm sorry. Yes, so no demo, but just one message just that I wanted to show. It's when the most innovative features in this app is the unsubscribe. So when you unsubscribe, it just say nothing, just yes, you have been unsubscribed, and it works for 100% of newsletters and with no blacklist system, so the user can subscribe again after. And we provide that to internet service provider and ISPs. And so we show this application to them in order so they can see the experience that we can provide to their user. So I just wanted to show you this, but my AirPlay doesn't want to work. So I will complain to Apple next time.
No problem. Thank you so much, Adrian.
Thanks.
Okay, well, Matt, this time we really do have you up here. So we didn't do the right sort order on our website. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
But no, please help.
So I'm Will Ackerley, founder of Virtru.
You are.
And
So why
Charles.
is the so I'm using a spreadsheet. I'm just going to be quiet now.
That's all right.
Why does it say? It says Matt Sack on the application.
He's one of us.
Oh, that's nice.
He's behind the curtain.
Cool. Thank you, Matt, and all.
Am I sharing? Coming up. One screen.
We'll give you a second. Don't worry if it's our issue here.
Well, anyway, while we're getting this set up, a little bit of context for Virtru. So, like Ladar and Steven and others here, I think we all recognize that the solutions for email privacy today are still very difficult. And so what we tried to do is democratize email privacy as much as possible. And so what we've done is we've taken email encryption and brought it to the tools that you like to use every day. So I will show you what we've built. And what we have here is end-to-end encryption. You can send to anybody, and you don't have to change your email address, and you don't have to change the email provider that you like. So in my work email, that's a Gmail-hosted environment, I have the Virtru extension. And so when I hit the compose, I have a switch, which isn't normally there. And when I flip the switch to protection, what happens is the email compose window has what amounts to a firewall built between it and Google. Or in the case of Yahoo or Outlook.com, it's a symmetric capability. So all the keystrokes that go into here are protected, and I can send to anybody. So I'm going to send an email to Charles. He's at Outlook.com. And as part of this, I can write an unencrypted introductory message. And that'll show up as a template. So what we do is we take the base 64 encoded CRUD that you don't like looking at, and we hide it with HTML. And we have a customized template. Holding this and typing is a little difficult, so I'll just keep it short. Anyway, so what you can do is you can do things like disable forwarding. You can have the email expire. And hit secure send. So Charles is going to go ahead and reply to that. In the meantime, I'll show you what it looks like in my sent items. You'll notice that the previews don't show any of the content. But because of the extension, what happens is a real-time request is made to a key server, the symmetric key is delivered and decrypted. And because I'm the sender, I have the ability to change the permissions associated with that. I can do a real-time revoke. And in fact, if we can get this turned around quickly enough, I think Charles is going to try to do a reply to me. I'll show you what it looks like on my end when he revokes an email to me.
And I've set this from Outlook.com on Firefox.
All right, here we go. So here's this encrypted reply. And so each of these messages in that entire email chain is individually protected. So everyone maintains control, persistent control over their component of the email message. So he's revoked that message. Basically what we have is this concept of a lease time, and there are obligations associated with the client decrypting that message. In this particular case, there's a persistent connection back to our servers, or back to the key server, which we host as a default. The architecture is federated. It's federated everything. I'll show you what it looks like when you don't have the extension installed, and a first-time user experience, essentially. And so I'll go back to my Gmail. And so that same email that we saw here now shows the template. This is what you'd see as a first-time user. Actually, can you re-enable that email? Yep. Thanks. So click once. And we use federated ID for all the big major providers. And I've already done the OAuth, probably. I may or may not see this again. Select one of my many email addresses. And what happens is the ciphertext is embedded in a link on the right-hand side of the hashtag, so it's available to my browser but not to the server. The JavaScript inside of the secure reader makes a request out for the key, decrypts, and shows it to me. So we have, and Charles wrote it again. So we have an iPhone app. It's a full-blown email app. We've got the Android. We have support for desktop, Outlook. Basically trying to build the ecosystem. It's all built on technologies that are open. We're extending the KMIP, Key Management Interoperability Protocol, in an attempt to try to build an ecosystem where anyone can set up a key server, anyone can have an identity provider, and anyone can unilaterally take this kind of technology, embed it in their email, so that it doesn't matter whether or not someone's taken action. If they have a legacy email address, you can hit send, and it can be secure, end-to-end. I haven't highlighted this, but we have attachment support as well. So what happens is if I want to add a picture, a PDF, an Office document, it doesn't matter. Let me flip the, I don't have the extension installed. Let me show you what it looks like to do that. It's super simple. You get Virtru. Check to make sure it's 5-star rated. We do a little bit of onboarding, activate, and you're done. Anyway, if you have any questions, we've got a little booth over there. Feel free to try it. It's free. So try it out and let us know what you think. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Will. So that was the last of our startup showcase of our panel of next-gen email. So another round of applause to all the awesome innovation going on there.